Okay, next one we are going to see is contact force. So contact force are of two types. So next force which we will see is, okay, so okay, for last one, for this one, tension. Tension arises from which basic kind of force? It arises from electromagnetic. Tension arises from electromagnetic. Why it arises from electromagnetic? Because tension occurs due to the forces between molecules inside the rope. Whatever rope or string we are considering, inside the rope we are having different molecules and atoms connected to each other. They exert force on each other. So because of that we get a whole tension in the string. So those force between atoms and molecules, those forces are arising due to what? Electromagnetic. So arises from electromagnetic force. Arises from electromagnetic force. Okay. Now next we will see is third one we will see is contact force. So contact force is, it is the force between two objects coming in contact. Force between two objects coming into contact. Okay, so this contact force, if suppose we have two objects, one is here and another one is here. So we have object A and object B. These two are in contact, so there will be force between them. So it appears at contact surface, appears at contact surface. Okay, now this force can be of two types. One is called normal and second is called friction. The contact force is of two types, so we will discuss them separately. One is called normal and second is called friction. The contact force is of two types. One is called normal, second is friction. So how normal acts? So normal is the component of contact force perpendicular to the surface. So in this case, if you see, if you consider the object A, the object A is suppose kept on B. So object A is having its weight, so its weight is there, but this object A is not falling because of its weight. So who is balancing this force? So there is a contact force between A and B at this surface. So this contact force, which is perpendicular to the surface, that is balancing the mg. So that is called normal. So what is normal? So contact force, one type is normal. So what is normal force? This is the contact force perpendicular to the contact surface. Contact force perpendicular to contact surface. So where do you experience these forces? So the simplest example I can say is, suppose I have an object B, another object is kept on B, is suppose A. So A is how much? A is what? A is having its weight mg and the normal force is acting on the A from the ground in upward direction. So this upward direction force A and the downward direction mg, these two forces will be balancing. So these two forces are equal in magnitude and the normal is equal to mg. So normal force is what? Normal here is balancing this force and it is perpendicular to the contact surface. This is the surface and the normal force is perpendicular to it. So you can see in this example, this is vertical case, but in horizontal direction also you can have. Suppose we have a wall and an object is kept near the wall. If it is pressed against this wall, suppose we apply some external force and we press this object against the wall. So the wall will also exert a force in the opposite direction. So the normal force is here balanced with F. So normal is here equal to F. So normal force is also a self-adjusting force. If we see the direction of normal force, if you see the direction of normal force, the normal force is also perpendicular to normal force is perpendicular to contact surface. And if you see its value, the value of normal force, the value is what? The value is also dependent on other present forces. So value is decided by other forces. So it is also a self-adjusting force. Self-adjusting force. Value decided by other present forces. Value decided by other present forces. So you can see in this example, above example, if you have more mass for object A, the more normal will be there. If you put 2 kg object, then there will be 20 Newton normal. If you put 3 kg object, then will be 30 Newton normal. Similarly here, if you apply more force, the normal will be more. So value of normal depends on other present forces. And it is also having the maximum limit, because if you apply very large force, the lower surface may break. So having some maximum limit. Having maximum limit. Similar to tension force, maximum limit. Okay. So, and its origin. Origin is which force? Here also the origin is electromagnetic. It is also originating from electromagnetic. It originates. Okay, before origin, I will say first about direction. What is direction of this force? So direction, value I have discussed. Direction. Direction is what? Perpendicular to contact surface. And perpendicular to contact surface, and it is always pushing force. Why pushing force? You can see that normal acting here is towards the object. You can see the surface is exerting force towards object. So it is always pushing force. So always a pushing force. It always applies a push. So if you see this surface, the force acts perpendicular to the surface towards the object, acts towards the object, acts towards the object. So in this way, you can write its direction, and it also originates from electromagnetic. So originates from electromagnetic. So how it originates from electromagnetic? How normal force act actually? Because normal force is also acting due to the material present inside the matter. So whatever is the molecules and atoms are present in the wall and present here, these things are exerting the forces, and these forces are as a result of the electromagnetic forces, the bonds formed between the different molecules and atoms. So that is coming from the electromagnetic force again. So the normal force is what? It is the component of contact force perpendicular to surface. Its value is self-adjusting, depends on the other forces, and its direction is perpendicular to the contact surface and away from the it is towards the object, or we can say that it is a push force, and it originates from electromagnetic forces. Okay, next we will see friction. Friction force. So what is a friction force? Friction force is the component of contact force parallel to surface. So if this is pulled along the surface, you will have a friction appearing in opposite direction. There will be a friction appearing in opposite direction. So this is called the component of contact force parallel to surface. Component of contact force parallel to surface. Okay, so this is parallel to surface. And friction is also a self-adjusting force. Friction in detail we will discuss in later section. We have a separate section devoted for the friction, but for now we will write its value. Its value is self-adjusting. Means the more force you apply, the more friction will develop in opposite direction. Suppose you have a heavy object kept on a ground, suppose 100 kg object. If you apply 10 Newton force parallel to surface, the object does not move. So friction is also 10 Newton in the opposite direction. If you apply 20 Newton force, the object again does not move. Then the friction force is what? 20 Newton applied in the opposite direction. So you can see that friction force is also self-adjusting in nature. But if you apply, suppose very large force, suppose you apply 200 Newton force in horizontal direction, the object may start sliding. So the friction is also having a maximum value. So, but we will discuss these things in detail in friction chapter. When we will be discussing the friction separately, we will discuss in detail. So for now, we are writing its value is self-adjusting with maximum value mu mg. So mu is what? Coefficient of friction, or it is decided by the how rough a surface is. And sorry, mu mg, not mu mg, this is mu times normal, and normal is the normal component of the contact force. So this is the maximum value. So these things we will discuss in detail when we will be discussing the friction chapter. And its direction is, the direction of friction is opposite to relative motion. Opposite to relative motion of object with respect to other object. Relative motion of object with respect to other one, with respect to other. So what does it mean? If you have A is suppose trying to go forward with respect to B, then friction will be acting on backward direction. Since A is trying to go in forward direction with respect to B, the friction will act on A in backward direction. So the opposite to relative motion of object with respect to other. And fourth is, it also originates from the electromagnetic force. Origin is electromagnetic. So why origin is electromagnetic? Here also the friction is what? The basic reason, if you see, this force is appearing due to the interaction force between the molecules and atoms at the two sides of the contact surface. So those forces are electromagnetic in nature. So you can see the most of the forces in day-to-day life which we experience is either gravitation, that is the gravity part, and next is the electromagnetic. It is originating from electromagnetic. Okay. So this is the friction force. The last force which we will discuss is the last force which